What's up, BookTube? It's Monty, and today I'm back to talk to you about the Song of Achilles by Madeline. There we go. The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of opinions, most of which are not positive. Let's get into this. My major concern, nothing really concern, my major issue with the book was that I felt that it was oddly paced. Yeah, oddly paced. This is a retelling of the Iliad. I will fully admit to have never reading. I've never read the Iliad. That's a sentence. That's English. I've read the Odyssey. I've read the entire Odyssey. A long time ago, but I did read it in its completion. Was not a fan because I don't really like poetry, let alone poetry that fucking long. So the fact this was prose was nice. The prose itself was serviceable. I don't think there was anything special about this writing. And I think that this book was hyped on two fronts for me. One is the Song of Achilles is like everybody's new favorite thing from like 5 years ago. Like, I'm not saying it's new now. Like 5 years ago, this was like everybody's favorite thing. And Circe, that she published last year, was like massively popular. And so I thought that I was going to be in for a good time. But honestly, I was not. There was no enjoyment at any point that I read this book. Now, I'm not saying that I hated it, because I didn't hate it. I thought that it was just okay. I think the hype just disappointed me to the level where I was like, I don't get it. So the writing, I thought it was decent, it was serviceable. I don't think there's anything particularly great about the writing. If anything, I think there is more that I don't like. Like, I felt that everything sort of had this sameness to it. So when we're at the beginning of the novel and we're just meeting Patroclus and we're getting settled into him, it's the same way she writes it at the end of the novel, in the middle of the Trojan War, when people are dying and like the stakes are raised. Like, at no point did the stakes ever feel raised. Like, even I'll wait. I don't think you could really spoil a retelling of the Iliad, but maybe you can, so I'll wait. So I didn't think I thought that was an issue for me. And then also I just was not a fan of how time was handled in the novel, because it starts when Patroclus is around 7 or 9 years old. And time just sort of like jumps. Like, we just sort of have these time jumps. Multiple times in a chapter sometimes, multiple times on the same page sometimes, where we'll just lose a couple of weeks or we'll lose a couple of months. And I wasn't a fan of that. I'll get into more of that when I go into spoilers. I wasn't a fan of that jumping. I found it really distracting. It wasn't even distracting. I thought that it just robbed the story of tension. So like, just like everything had like the sameness to it, that like the stakes were never raised. I never felt that the like romantic tension between Patroclus and Achilles was ever really there. I don't think that Achilles and Patroclus ever really had much of a defined romance, even though that's pretty much the draw of this book. Like, that's the draw of this sort of retelling, is that this retelling through that lens, and I think that it fails in that way, because I didn't care about them. I did not care about them. So because I want to get to specifics, if you haven't read this or you don't want to be spoiled, then go ahead and leave now, because I want to use examples. So there's a moment in the novel where Achilles leaves the city that he lives in, like the main city that he's staying in. Before the Trojan War, like, his mom abducts him in the middle of the night. The sea nymph, sea fairy person, whatever she is, sea goddess, like, she takes him to sort of like stash him away on this island. And that's fine. Like, that I thought was okay, because now we have this moment where Patroclus is going to go to Achilles, and there's going to be this tension, and there's going to be the separation, and like, we'll finally get to have a moment of them like we'll get to see the development here. We'll get to play around with this, because we didn't play around with it when they were in the middle of the woods with Kieran, whatever the fuck, centaur dude. Didn't do it then, when they were sitting over there masturbating together. So like, now we're gonna have this moment, and instead what happens is Patroclus looks for him for like 5 paragraphs. He finds out where he is. He gets on board. He offers like this ship captain some money, and then immediately in like the next paragraph, and like on the next page, he's there, and like 3 paragraphs later, he's with Achilles, and I was like, 2 months just happened, and we didn't get to see any of it. And then later on in the novel, a couple pages after that, the part that really broke me, I talked about this in my Tea and Thoughts video. What really happened after that was Achilles was against his will, like married off to this random person. And I understand this is a retelling of the Iliad, so like you're retelling the Iliad, this is going to be included. Fine. He was married off to this woman on this island. They consummated their marriage, even though that was not something he wanted to do, so he was assaulted. Twice. And then after, Patroclus, he hears this, like, he comforts him. But then, like, 2 pages later, Patroclus is going there and is sleeping with Achilles' low-key wife, low-key baby mama. And it's like, why would you sleep with her when you know that she assaulted Achilles and you're supposed to be in love with him? Like, what? And it was never addressed. Like, Patroclus and Achilles never had a conversation about that. And then later on in the narrative, it was reintroduced again, the sort of like heteronormative relationship with a slave that they captured during the Trojan War. And I was like, that whole aspect of the narrative was actually really gross to me when they had Achilles and Patroclus, and I think her name was like Briseis, the 3 of them, and how Patroclus was like romanticizing like the fact that their harem of women was growing, but they were good people because they weren't like sleeping with them. And then at some point, the women married other people in the army and they had children, and it was like this great thing. I was like, stop. None of that was cute. None of that was cute. And then eventually, later on, when Patroclus dies and Achilles dies, I didn't care. And this isn't a fair thing to do. Because, like I said, this book is, like, almost 400 pages. And there's a bunch of weird time-skipping things. And eventually, like, when we get back here at the end, like, you could kind of tell, like, even I could tell, even though I hadn't read the Iliad, that he was going to die. I knew Achilles was going to die. But I knew Patroclus was going to die, and I didn't care. And I had to contrast that with They Both Die at the End, which is a similarly lengthed novel. This book clocks in at 373 pages. That's in the acknowledgement. The actual page of the novel ends on page 368. So there's literally like 10 pages of difference between this one, because this one is like literally 378 pages. So there's literally 10 more pages in this book, and I did not care. And when this book still had like 50 to go, I was over here crying my eyes out. And I'm not saying that, you need to make me cry, because that's the only book that's ever made me do that. But I should care. Like, I shouldn't be going, oh, I think he's gonna die. Like, okay, let's see if that happens. No, like, I knew he was going to die, and I didn't care. And then I knew Achilles was going to die, and I didn't care. Even though they showed Achilles mourning, I didn't care. I just didn't. Like, there was nothing in this book that made me care. There was nothing in it that I thought was like, oh my goodness, like, this is the most amazing writing. Like, oh my goodness, that was such a clever phrase. Like, oh my goodness, this was such a good moment. Like, it did a lot of things really okay. Like, it didn't do anything horrendously bad. It just didn't do anything excellent. Like, it was just okay. And I don't understand the praise. There has to be something I'm missing, because people seem to love this shit. And I think I gave it 2 stars on Goodreads. I think that means okay on Goodreads. So that's what I gave it, because it was okay to me. I didn't think it was bad, but I really need to have a conversation. So if you've read this book, leave your thoughts down in the comment section, because I really do want to have a discussion. That's the purpose of posting the reviews, to give you my thoughts, and then for you to come at me with your thoughts, and we can see what happens. Because I just didn't like it. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand. Like, maybe because it's so accessible, like, you don't have to read the Iliad, and it's queer. I don't know. Leave them down in the comments. I'm just repeating myself at this point, so I didn't like it. I thought that it was just okay, and I didn't think it did anything remarkable. It was just an average book for me. So, thanks for watching if you made it this far. I'll see you when I see you. Until then, bye.